The Decepticon air fleet grows stronger. In this Transformers Legacy United review, I take a deep dive into the Transformers Voyager class G1 Universe Ramjet, a fantastic re-release of the fan-favorite Decepticon Seeker. How does Legacy United Ramjet scale next to his fellow Conehead Decepticons Dirge and Thrust? And how does he compare with the original G1 Ramjet and the Masterpiece Ramjet? I'll break it all down with side-by-side comparisons to help collectors decide if this updated figure is worthy of their display shelves. Plus, I've put together some epic display ideas and action shots so you can see Ramjet in battle-ready poses alongside other Decepticon forces. Is Legacy United Ramjet the ultimate modern version of this classic G1 Seeker? Watch the full review to find out and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's go. He's here, finally. We missed the first go-around from the War for Cybertron era, so boy were we happy when we heard that he was being re-released along with Dirge. As one of the 6 original classic Seekers, G1 Ramjet was and is a must-have for any Transformers collection, especially with his sleek look and awesome colors. While Thrust will always be my favorite of the 3 Coneheads, Ramjet is a very close second. I love the design of this character with those sweeping wings, and still think these Seeker jets hold up fairly well after all these years, though I anticipate we're getting pretty close to the end of the line with the use of this mold. Grab on tight as we push the throttle to the max with this week's episode 47. And if you enjoy this episode, there's plenty more where that came from on the channel, so please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for much more. So let's start off with the bot mode, which I have to say is really nice and generally hits all the marks for a Ramjet toy. As this version of Ramjet is still based off of the War for Cybertron mold, there are a few things that stand out for me that I wish they could have improved on in bot mode, specifically the inability for the waist to rotate. Ramjet also has some of the War for Cybertron detailing, a little too bumpy and gritty for me as I prefer a smoother look of the more recent toys, especially when comparing to the Studio Series 86 lineup. The front nose cone on the back isn't perfect, but I actually don't mind it too much and kind of reminds me of the original G1 version. Regardless, as part of the ongoing lineup of Seekers, United Legacy Ramjet still looks incredibly cool and looks even better placed next to his brothers in Arms, Thrust, and Dirge. Quick story, we actually now have 2 of this exact Legacy United mold because our first one that we got a week ago immediately had some quality control issues and further split in half pretty much right out of the box. We got a replacement from Hasbro right away, which by the way have excellent consumer care, but still feel that these Ramjets are a bit off on the quality control side and extra tight on most of the key moving parts. So with all of that out of the way, after all this is an honest review of the figures we get, let's get into the cool features and design of this figure. What I really like about this Ramjet are his proportions, which I think are right on point. Even without his hips being able to swivel, he is still quite posable and looks fantastic from every angle. I also really like the way they incorporate his cockpit into his chest, as is the case for all the versions of this mold, and proportionate head sculpt as well. Other than the nose cone sticking out a bit, his side view is actually quite nice and looks great with the red wings, whose design I always thought was very cool and different for both Ramjet and Dirge as compared to the other Seekers. The back looks excellent as well with absolutely no gaps. Like I said earlier, I'm fairly fine with the way the nose cone is integrated into the design here, though I think if it pushed in a bit more flush against the back, it would be close to perfect. One of my favorite design elements of the Seekers, other than the way the wings hang off the shoulders or legs, are the air intakes that shoot up on either side of the head, and of course, black looks best here. However, we also know that the Conehead look can be a bit silly, and most prefer the original Seeker heads. But as far as Coneheads go, I think this lineup looks the best. The cone is very subdued since the real nose cone is placed on the back of the figure, and the face sculpt is just top notch, giving us a very menacing looking Seeker. He has a good amount of freedom of movement due to the design of his bottom legs and kneecaps, which add to his posability. The legs also rotate 360, which helps compensate for the lack of movement around his waist. As for balance, he's got that too, and can easily be placed into one of my favorite poses, as seen here. There are also several ways that you can position the wings on his legs in case you want a more flared or streamlined look, as compared to the one I have been showcasing so far. This last position has the wings placed completely forward in the front position and actually looks quite good. Overall, a great looking figure of an iconic Decepticon Seeker. The interplay of white, red, and black on such a cool bot mode just can't be beat. Now this is where Ramjet really stands out given his very unique looking slope-tipped wings, which include those built-on thrusters and stabilizers. I truly do think he looks incredible here and overall love this design, but the few mold misfires do take some points away, like the empty hole on the main body underneath the cockpit, the lack of landing gear, and the missing laser thruster cannons that the original came with. Though, stick around because I do have an awesome build for that last point. What do you guys think of this and the other Seeker molds? It's been a while that these have been out, so let me know in the comments if you're ready for a new mold or want to see more of this one. Out of all the Seeker characters, I think Ramjet looks the sleekest, and other than the few issues I just noted, looks like a truly realistic stylized jet. The body is well hidden and incorporated into the frame of the jet so that we generally don't get the blitzwing kibble look, especially around the wings, which really do have to be smooth and thin. The V-wing look is also really quite nice on this version of Ramjet, and the plane looks extremely cohesive from these angles. There really isn't anything that stands out here to suggest a robot hidden inside. My favorite part though has to be the original coloring of G1 Ramjet, replicated here. I love these red wings so much. The dark Decepticon symbol also looks amazing. This is exactly how I want the plain version of Ramjet to look like. Would have been nice to have the original and more realistic rounded thrusters on the back here, but given the type of quasi-futuristic look of Ramjet, I am 100% fine with this design choice. A little blocky on the side that could use a bit more smoothness, but given the price point and type of toy, I think it looks great. No real complaints here. I also dig the way the plane can be unbalanced a bit to give it a flying feel. I'll show another cool build at the end on how you can make this even more dynamic in your display. Alright, let's transform this guy. So first thing we're going to do is take off the lasers and set them aside for the end. And what I like to do first is lift up the nose cone, place it over the head, and click it into place. This will make it easier when we transform it later. We're going to untab the chest like this. Mine is extremely tight. Most of them aren't this tight, but this Ramjet, the two versions I have, both have been tight there. We're going to pull out the nose cone and turn it around 180 degrees and then just lift it up and tab into place like that. Now we're going to leave the chest open and we'll work on the arms. You've got to open this lower arm up and then push it back like this and it will click into place. You'll lift up the fist and then the whole arm will flip in with the fist facing inside. We'll do the same on the other side. There's a little tip here. There's a tiny little tab that's inside this mechanism that you have to make sure is straight when you fold it in like this. So if you ever get stuck, that's what's causing it. Once both arms are in, we'll just push the chest back into place and make sure these little tabs, you hear the click, they're right here. And now we'll move on to the wings. So just push these down and straighten out the front portion, this tiny part of the wing. It's going to connect with the larger portion in the back. And now we'll just push the legs together and lift up the kneecaps. And we'll just wiggle it up. And there's some tabs right there. Just keep them closed, the legs. And you see those little tabs sticking out. We'll just, once I get these wings in place, we'll just push it right in like that. And then you can push the kneecaps down. We'll go to the back, close up the feet. And you pretty much have Ramjet transformed. Of course, the only thing missing are the missiles or the lasers. So let's just click those into place. One on each side. And he's transformed and looks incredible. Of course, we have to start with this set. This is the go-to trinity of Seeker Conehead, so not having them together would be unholy. While I love that Starscream, Thundercracker, and Skywarp were essentially the same figure in different colors, I also really liked that the next iterations of the Seekers had unique looks while still keeping that same overall base aesthetic. I just can't get enough of these guys together. By the way, I did a bit of an homage here to the original G1 Seekers with their side lasers facing upwards, which I think also looks great. The planes side by side also look incredible next to each other. Everyone is unique here, design-wise and color-wise, and make for an awesome looking squadron for play and display. Which of the three Coneheads was your ultimate Seeker, and do these recent versions of the mold change your mind at all? So before I found out that Dirge and Ramjet would be re-released, the only version of Ramjet we were able to get our hands on was G2 Ramjet. A great stand-in, but still not the original. However, these two together complement each other quite well, and I like to think of them as different versions of Ramjet coming from alternate universes so that they can be displayed together. I do totally dig G2 Ramjet's colors. The planes also look great, and both carry the original G1 Decepticon logo on their wings, with G2 having Ramjet written on the side of the cockpit area. I think I prefer the more extended black coloring on the G2 nose cone though, similar to G1 and Masterpiece Ramjet. Now we could only get G2 versions of Thrust and Dirge. Not sure why Hasbro has stayed away from using those molds for other characters as well, but maybe we'll see them at some point. True G1 time now as we take a look at G1 Universe Legacy United Ramjet up against my original G1 Ramjet, and boy what an update. While the original G1 Seekers will forever be the best version since they were the first, you really can't deny how great these updates have been. All the main features of the original are replicated fairly faithfully, though you can play around a bit more with the way the wings and nose cone look on the original Ramjet. Both have very similar well-proportioned side views subject to the very different individual design elements. With the backs also being fairly consistent look-wise, the wings on Legacy Ramjet do fit in a lot better though. The heads are obviously quite different, with the recent Ramjet replicating his facial features of the cartoon. I do prefer my Ramjet with the nose cone hidden in bot mode though. The original Ramjet is much smoother in bot mode, which was one of my highlighted issues earlier with Legacy Ramjet. As for posability, well, G1 Ramjet really didn't have any. He still looks awesome though, right? Especially for the 80s, but getting to pose him now, like we wanted to in our minds back then, can't be beat. About my build I alluded to earlier, see what I did here? That's right, I took G1 Ramjet's thrust lasers and slotted them right into Legacy United Ramjet, and the slots match up perfectly. That means you can actually get a very faithful updated version of Ramjet even without getting those accessories from Hasbro. Unfortunately, you do need G1 Ramjet. Having Ramjet with those lasers with his Conehead brothers just makes all the difference. How cool is that? I unfortunately don't have G1 Dirge, but I assume the same can be done for him. As for the plane modes, they both look great and follow the same design cues. You can really notice here the difference in white though, with Legacy United being more off-white in this case. You also get real working wheels for the landing gear here, though it is a removable one in the front and doesn't hide away. Both have very similar V-shapes and coloring, though G1 Ramjet has some extra more colorful stickers as well as some extra Decepticon symbols, which are also larger but shinier than Legacy United Ramjet. And still think the larger use of black on the nose cone looks a bit better, but that's nitpicking since the planes both overall look amazing with those red wings and black wing thrusters. G1 Ramjet does have the preferred rounded, more realistic thrusters, but the difference is hardly noticeable and doesn't stand out on Legacy Ramjet, even so far as making sense within that design. Such sleekness though. A quick view of how they both look from underneath. This is however a side that will rarely be seen and doesn't look half bad in both cases. So do the G1 thruster lasers fit onto the planes as well? Why, yes they do. Due to the positioning of the slots and slightly different shape of the wings though, the lasers stick out a bit more on Legacy United Ramjet. You can however add in the original lasers he comes with and tab them into the side ports to create a very cool upgraded and meaner fighter jet. Too bad it doesn't fit in perfectly though. Well, actually, it does. Place those lasers on the side port located on the body of Ramjet, and these original G1 lasers fit right in, giving us that original G1 look, which looks amazing from any angle. Add in the lasers that United Ramjet comes with onto the wings, and you get this incredible look. Which mod do you guys prefer? Bet you didn't think I'd go this far with this section. Well, I did. I told you guys I love Seekers and also specifically love this character and mold, so what a perfect time to pull out Masterpiece Ramjet. And overall, wow do they look similar, minus the greater use of black on the Masterpiece one. Again, I like the smoother look of Masterpiece Ramjet in bomb mode, but 100% prefer Legacy United's head design. Looks so much better. That actually bugged me a bit on the Masterpiece version, so it's great to see the better sculpt on United Ramjet. The side of both generally look the same. High level though, I prefer the feet of Legacy United Ramjet. I think Masterpiece incorporates whatever kibble it has a bit better than Legacy Ramjet. The plane molds both really shine here. Of course, Masterpiece is going to look the most realistic and polished, but not by much. Again, wish they incorporated the blacker nose cone and Decepticon symbol on it for Legacy United Ramjet. I also really like the sleek black lines that fade into the wings on Masterpiece Ramjet, but are not really accurate to the original other than the black bar at the bottom. Another major bonus on Masterpiece that comes with the price tag, working landing gear. Anything on Legacy United would have been better than nothing at all, so it hurts seeing it here and on G1 Ramjet. Masterpiece Ramjet does have the rounded out realistic thrusters as well, but I find that Legacy United Ramjet hides the body from this angle slightly better. Big brother and little brother here. They are in fact very similar for such a big difference in price. Very well hidden mid-portion for the body though on Masterpiece Ramjet. By the way, I actually never transformed Masterpiece Ramjet until this past week. See how much I care about you guys? As per my earlier comments, it's just not right if you don't display these three together. But I can allow some exceptions if you decide to display them with some of the other jets that use this mold, here showcasing Cloud Cover and G2 Ramjet. You can make your own little sub-squadron using these guys. You can even add in Sandstorm if you so wish, even though his colors clash a bit with this setup. If you have the room, you can't deny that this is a must. How amazing do these 6 look together? All the original G1 Seekers back together again, most definitely an unstoppable force. And if you have even more room, all the Seekers we have to date using this mold, including the lighter blue unnamed Seeker released with the buzzworthy Bumblebee Troop Builder set. For some more creative ideas, why not display Ramjet with Coronation Starscream, taken right out of the scene from the 1986 movie right before Galvatron and Cyclonus arrive to ruin Starscream's party. As for the plane modes, I usually don't display too many of the Seekers in this mode, but if I did, this would definitely be a possibility, though more likely with Thrust and Dirge thrown into the mix as well, like I had shown in the intro. As for my second build I promised to reveal earlier, if you open up one of the lower legs slightly in plane mode, you can get this look which not only gives you a dynamic action shot of the planes flying where you might not have stands, but also allows you to display them in a way that showcases more of their bodies and plane design. I haven't done this yet, but displaying these different versions of Ramjet together is always a fun idea. I sometimes think of displaying all my bots, which I have different versions of, this way, but I'm a creature of habit, so not sure if I'll ever take the leap. And now, my broken Ramjet making his debut. Since I still have him, I thought this was a great way to display him. Not for everyone for sure, but if you happen to have a figure split in half, this is an excellent way to incorporate it. Just don't go breaking yours to do this. Really nice shot of Ramjet in his jet mode flying right out of the box. Almost looks like the actual toy rather than a piece of art. Very nice image of him in bot mode as well. Like I said before, the artists for Legacy United have been knocking these out of the park. They even made his face look cool, Conehead and all. Simple back panel, as always, nice bluish black background. And the 40th anniversary side panel. So that's it for this week's review of the classic and iconic Legacy United G1 Universe Ramjet. Let's end on a few fun scenes I replicated from the G1 cartoon and 1986 movie. See if you can guess which episodes they came from. I'll let you know if you're right in the comments section. As for upcoming reviews, I heard that some of the Age of the Primes figures have been spotted in retail, so that means we should be getting them soon, which further means all new reviews coming up very shortly. Keep an eye out for those in future episodes of Heroic Nonsense. See you all next time, and remember, it's all such heroic nonsense in the end.
Transform!